Welcome, everyone, to the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center, Something to Talk About. Today, our guest speaker is Tana Berry with Helpline House. She is a social worker, an MSW intern for Helpline, and works with their mental health services. And we're so happy to have you with us today, Tana, and to tell us a little bit about what's going on at Helpline. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the mic over to you, and welcome.
So what I'm doing right now is providing one-on-one clinical therapy with folks and we're doing this remotely. So when folks reach out and they have a concern or something they would like to talk about and work through, we connect and work through it. So Helpline House offers mental health therapy through internships and through staff. We have staff that are trained in psychology, and then we have staff that are trained in clinical therapy in a social work perspective. Believe it or not, there's quite a difference in the way that the counselors approach things depending on their background and their training. So social work services are kind of a solution-focused therapy. It's not necessarily intended to last years. It's more of what's going on right now and how can we help you and move forward? How can we help you move forward to, get you feeling more comfortable and more equipped to deal with life and everything it's bringing. We are also currently offering grief counseling. This came about with the loss of the 3 high school girls. And it's meant to be quite a short-term help folks process their grief. This is something that we're also offering currently. And then another thing that we're offering right now is on Thursdays at from 1 p.m. to 2:30, we're offering a support group that's called Overcoming Obstacles in a Time of Pandemic. And this is an online support group that, as I said, is on Thursdays from 1 to 2:30. And we're going to be offering it until April 22nd. And this is to give people a place to talk about what they're experiencing during COVID, the social isolation, the challenges that come with that, and just to meet people and talk with them, just other community members, to have that ability to share what we've all been going through. And we teach coping skills at the beginning of the session, just to help put more tools in people's toolboxes for coping. If you would like to connect with that support group, if you went to the Helpline House webpage, you click on services, scroll down to counseling, scroll through that page a little bit, and that tells you all of the counseling services that we offer. It has the grief counseling, the support group, and the regular mental health counseling. And so what I was going to do next was see if y'all are into learning a couple of the coping techniques that we've been utilizing and that we've been talking about. So the first one, this one's my favorite. And I don't know if it's because I'm hugging myself, but I absolutely dig this coping skill. So it's called the butterfly hug. And our bodies are in rhythm. And that's why a lot of people are drawn towards rhythmic breathing and drumming and things of that nature. So this is a tapping skill. And so I'll explain it in depth for the folks that are on their phones. Is you take your left hand and you put it on your right shoulder. Take your right hand and put it on your left shoulder so you're hugging yourself. And I think that's why I like it. So I'm just like, oh, this is comfy. For folks that it might not be as comfy, you can also, kind of have your hands relaxed a little more to where your hands are going to be, one will be on your heart and, right above your breasts. So you hug yourself and you just start tapping back and forth. And it's not at the same time, it's back and forth, kind of like a rocking motion. Tap your left, right, left, right, left, right. And you can go as slow as you like, or you could pick up the pace if you like that. It's just really going to depend on you. And what this does is it's called bilateral stimulation because we have right brain and left brain. And so by tapping back and forth, we're asking our brain to like join in the middle. What this does is, you know, it puts us in sync with a rhythm, which is good for our body and our circadian rhythms. It also helps join the right and the left brain. And so when we think of something that might be stressing us out, might be a little upsetting, when we hold upsetting or traumatic experiences in our brain, it's called fragmentation. We remember them in different pockets of our brain. So if we pull that thought that's uncomfortable to us to the front of our mind when we're tapping, it helps create a whole thought because it joins the right and the left brain, which helps us to process and release. So this is something when there's something sitting on my mind that's really intense, I just kind of start tapping, and it allows me to experience that intense thought, but it allows me to experience it as a whole thought and to release it. So it's really comfortable. If you were going to do it on your chest, you would put your hands together kind of like you were doing a quack quack with your hands, you know, all your fingers touching at the tip. Cross your arms and tap back and forth. And you want to tap stiff enough that you can kind of feel it in your body, but you don't want to bruise yourself. But you want to be able to feel it in your body. And that engages sensations by the tapping. And when you tap on your chest, you know, you're experiencing a kind of a sensation in your heart and your lung area. So it pulls multiple sensations into your body to where you're having a more whole experience instead of just experiencing something. And if you would like to do this where other people don't see you, say you're in a Zoom meeting and you're like, ooh, that's a little heavy. This one's cool. These are all called Meridian Lines. So the part of your hand that's in between your pinky and your wrist, they call it the karate chop part of your hand. Whapa! And so if you can tap it back and forth, it's also that bilateral stimulation that joins the right and the left part of your body. So this can be something that can be done underneath. You don't know I'm doing it right now. So, you know, if you're in some type of Zoom meeting, that maybe it's a webinar, you can do this. And it just helps to, you know, calm yourself and to pull your both hemispheres of your brain together for a more whole processing. So those are kind of fun. And you know what's interesting is I'll sit on my back porch when it's raining and there's like good scents in the air, and you hear the raindrops. So, you know, you're engaging your smell and your hearing. And a lot of times I'll close my eyes because we use our eyes so much. And I will sit on the back porch and hug myself and tap back and forth. Breathe in that air, notice the sounds, the ducks in my yard that are being crazy. And just do this, and it's just so calming. It's a great way to find comfort and relaxation and to also process memories that might be fragmented. So it has multiple purposes. And so then I'm wondering, what do you all do for, do you do gratitude lists? Anybody?
Sounds like something
I have a sister who has a practice of thinking 3 gratitudes per day as she's falling asleep.
Absolutely. So something as simple as gratitude. So what I do is in the morning when I wake up, I think of 3 things I'm grateful for to pull that positivity into my day. So this morning, my kitten woke me up, literally biting me. Wake up, mama, wake up, kind of jumping on me at 5 something in the morning when I didn't have to be up till 6:30. And instead of being like, oh, I woke up and I said, I'm grateful that I have something that loves me so much it wants me to be awake. And so then, I just got him back by, like, kind of holding him in and kissing him a whole bunch where he couldn't run. So then, it was kind of like me pinning him down. So, but I wake up with gratitude lists. And it's something that sounds so simple, yet it has such amazing benefits because we wake up and we think, I'm grateful that I'm in a warm, cozy bed. Or, I'm grateful for my animals that I have to care for that give me unconditional love. Or I'm grateful I woke up. You can keep it simple. I'm grateful I woke up and I wasn't stiff today, What I like to do with my gratitude list, which kind of just takes it to another level, is I think of what I'm grateful for in the morning. And then at night when I lay down in my bed, I think of what I'm grateful for at the end of the day. And I see how they compare. What happened during my day that changed my gratitude and helped grow it, and help nurture it. That just helps pull light into my heart. In current times, it seems like that light flickers a lot throughout the day. So it just helps to pull that gratitude into my heart and help bring about that positivity. And so there's one more coping skill that I thought that I would introduce, and I wonder if people are familiar with box breathing. It's something that's fairly common. So, and it's all going to depend on your own personal lung capacity. And something I find interesting is I think that the number feels like it should be increased on the out breath, and that's something I think you guys might notice. So when we do box breathing, it's at a 4 count. And so we pull the air in, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold that breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, release that breath slowly, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold that, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you start over again. So that's why it's called box breathing, is because you breathe in slow, hold it for the same amount of time, breathe out slow, hold it for the same amount of time. So it ends up kind of being a box with the 4 count. What's interesting is when I'm breathing out, it seems like I could go to 5 or 6 because I'm supposed to be emptying my lungs. So of course, the pace of the breath and the numbers that you count to are going to do what feels right to you. But, it's kind of easy to get overwhelmed with things. I mean, we're in tax season. We're coming into, we're in phase 3 now, which can create happiness, but it can also create anxiety. I know that when I know I'm going into something that I'm going to be on a phone call that might be a little intense, or, something pops into my head, oh, those darn taxes, I just stop and I do that box breath. And it gives me just that, 30 seconds to pull myself and center myself and tell myself, this too shall pass. It's going to be okay. A lot of folks don't like platitudes, but I totally love them. And I tell myself this too shall pass all the time when I'm doing my box breathing or just that deep breathing and that meditation. So I'm wondering, how did that sit with you guys?
Tana, I use that to help me go to sleep, the box breathing. I didn't know that was the name of it, box breathing, but I've read somewhere to do that, and it works almost every time.
Yes, absolutely. The breathing, a lot of what's important with breathing is it helps with our homeostasis, our internal biological homeostasis, and, you know, just relaxing and letting out the toxins in our body. And it's just so important. We forget to breathe, which sounds so funny, but, you know, we forget. Take a breath, take a second before we react. It helps regulate emotions to where our responses will be more appropriate. It's just, there's so much power in breath and in breathing.
Absolutely. I think that Sheila and I both like to sing. And that's one thing that we're taught, you know, probably from the very beginning, how breathing is so important. And I think that we're mindful of our breathing all the time. So
Yes.
That's one of the advantages of singing. So.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And that's from your stomach, from your diaphragm. So you're paying attention to breathing with your stomach instead of breathing with your chest.
Yes.
Exactly. Which a lot of people don't think of.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you look at animals or you look at babies and you watch where their breath rises and falls, and it's always in the tummy area. Then you look at TV, you know, and it's always that exaggerated chest breathing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering.
Megan's singing with us too. Megan, you've been at karaoke too, haven't you?
I haven't done that yet.
Oh, come on. Really? Now, you see why you need to come now? Because it's good for you.
For singing.
Are y'all doing karaoke on Zoom?
Yeah. I'll talk to Karen. Karen's the one. She's our illustrious leader.
That's cool.
Guilty.
It is. It really is very, very cool. Tara, it's fun too.
I have a blast doing it, so I just so much
All
fun.
right, well, spill it, Karen. When is it, and so on and so forth?
It's every first and third Wednesday at 10 o'clock, and we have a Zoom address through the Senior Center, and usually we have a theme. Our next theme is songs with a social message.
Oh, you could pull a lot of those from the 60s.
Oh, we have, yeah. And I take requests. So most of all the songs that we play, they send me the request, and I find the appropriate video with lyrics that go with them. So
nice.
Yeah, so it's fun.
I think that's such a great thing to bring up, because I'm like, it's just such a mood booster, right? I mean, to engage in activities that we love, and I think singing and music for so many of us, it really is therapeutic, and it's like, yeah, I mean, that just seems like a great example of something to do for our mental health.
So I'm just wondering if anybody has any questions about services that Helpline offers, or any boundary or barriers to services that people feel might exist.
Tana, I'm just curious, can you just kind of walk through, I mean, some of the feedback that I hear from folks is, I think if you haven't experienced counseling before, if you haven't gone to any sort of therapy, I think it can be really intimidating for folks. And, you know, I think sometimes folks feel like they need to know exactly what to say or do in therapy, but could you kind of walk us through, start from finish, even like contacting Helpline House, and then what that process looks like, and what it, you know, what it means to work with a counselor or therapist?
Absolutely. So what you would do is you would call the Helpline House phone number, which is 206-842-7621. And you would be speaking with our intake coordinator, AKA our receptionist. And she asks, you know, what the need is, and then she schedules accordingly. And so with counseling, a lot of people feel intimidated taking that first step. But what I like to tell my folks, especially folks that are new to it, is we're just having a conversation. But it's a conversation that you might not have with a friend or someone that you're close with, because it might feel uncomfortable to have those conversations. And so what's cool about counseling is you can have conversations with your counselor that you might not have with other folks. So it really opens up a safe space to have conversations that you've wanted to have and maybe haven't had in, you know, in your lifetime or currently. There's a rapport building time in the beginning where we're just getting to know each other. We're just chatting. So it feels comfortable, kind of like, you know, building a new friendship, a new therapeutic relationship. And then as the therapeutic relationship evolves, you know, the counselors will ask some key questions to help evoke and bring out conversations that you want to have to help you process feelings that may be sitting heavy on you, that you would like to just get out so that you can start the healing process. And then throughout the therapeutic relationship, we help with the processing, but we also help with the healing process of where do we go from here? And what tools can I use in the future? And what's really cool, and this is called strengths-based perspective, what's really cool is most of us know how to heal, and most of us know how to move forward. It's just sometimes we forget because life gets heavy, things get quick, you know, the pace is going, our emotions are going, and we're like, I feel stuck. How do I fix this? And maybe just a little prompt from someone else of, how did you fix this before? See that? You've got it inside you. You know what to do. And so that's empowering, and that builds that strength inside of us. So a lot of times people can be intimidated with therapy, but I like to think of it as just having a friend that you can talk to, that you might, in ways that you might not talk to other folks that you know. So I like to keep it a little bit lighter. And even if we process heavy emotions, I like to have people giggling by the end of it so that they can carry on about their day with a smile on their face, knowing that they worked through something and came out just fine on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And I was researching this therapy, what was it called? ISPRT, interpersonal, and it's called Interpersonal and Social Rhythm Therapy. And a lot of people are affected by having their social rhythm was just so quickly taken away by COVID. And having structure is very important for folks. And to have that structure taken away so quickly created a lot of anxiety and a lot of unpleasant feelings in folks. So keeping structure and keeping that rhythm, you know, even while we're staying home, was what this therapy was talking about, was so important.
So do you have any thoughts on, you know, folks that maybe are on the fence or not sure if this, you know, counseling or therapy is right for them? Is it okay for them to still reach out to Helpline and connect with somebody to just kind of explore and maybe ask some questions before fully committing?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the therapy that we offer at Helpline House is free of charge. So I would say that if folks are a little uncomfortable about counseling or a little bit nervous, it might be a good place for you to show some, you know, be a little inquisitive of how it is, because you're not going to have to pay for it. So that makes it a little bit more approachable, correct?
Yes, I think that is very helpful because I hear, from many folks that where insurance is, doesn't cover counseling services, that I think folks can feel very, that's a barrier. That can be a huge barrier for folks.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Helpline House tries to be as low barrier as possible. Before I had come to Helpline House, I was not aware that there was such services like Helpline House, where it was so low barrier, because a lot of the services throughout Kitsap County have quite a bit more. So we try to offer low barrier services to make it a little more easy on folks that are reaching out for services, because it can be hard to reach out and ask for help. And so we try to make it as comfortable and as welcoming and as easy as possible for folks to reach out and have those conversations. I always encourage people, even if you don't think we can help, go ahead and contact us anyways, because you never know.
Yeah.
If you have a question that pops up, I like people to keep in mind that we might be able to answer it, because that's what social work's for, right?
yes, indeed, indeed. And Tana, one thing when I talk to folks too, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but counseling isn't a one size fits all sort of thing, and counseling can look very different, and you can take different paths, and you can work with different therapists and counselors. So even if maybe you go to your first session and it's not exactly what you think, it's great to ask questions. It's great to let your counselor or therapist know that maybe something's not working, because there's always different tools you can try. You can always request a different counselor, right? I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think there's a lot of different paths you can take.
Absolutely. And there's different styles, which is what I was stating in the beginning. If you have somebody that is trained from a psychology perspective, they might dig a little deeper into past experiences, which is called psychodynamic therapy, which is, finding reoccurring patterns throughout life journeys, and, digging a little deeper into, where are these things coming from. Whereas then you can have a social works perspective, which is more of a solution-focused therapy perspective, which is a quicker, more strength-based and empowering perspective. So just because you might not click the first time with somebody you speak to the first time, it doesn't mean, give up. It means that, you might find somebody else that you do click with really well. And I'll tell you, when you click with your therapeutic relationship, it's not only amazing for the clients, I find it really rewarding personally, because there's that strength to be found in that good therapeutic bond that you build.
It's the work that you all do at Helpline is incredible. I know it's such an amazing resource in the community. It is very unique. I think if you've lived in or worked in other communities, each community has something wonderful to offer. And I think for Bainbridge Island, Helpline is very special. So thank you. Thank you for all that you do. And I know we're kind of wrapping up
for their support, because we wouldn't be here without community members.
Yes, absolutely.